Tony, it's been an incredible start to the season. What have you made of it, and how much have you enjoyed the start of the 8th season in the Premier League for the Albion?
Well, it's good to hear the 8th season in the Premier League. It's just great to be here. It's been a very busy summer, lots of change, and with Fabian coming in, I'm just delighted for him and the team that we've started so well to have 7 points from 3 really tough games. It's got us into a really good position for a season that we should all be really looking forward to.
It's a sort of perfect platform, isn't it? Especially for a new manager coming in, you want to hit the ground running, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, and there's no certainties. When we saw the fixture list, we thought that's, before the international break, that's a real tough start. So, he's got his ideas very much in place with the players. He's fitted in brilliantly, his philosophies, his processes, the players have bought into him. And, the pre-season went really well, but that's, when it gets that first game away at Everton at Goodison Park, tough atmosphere, that can still go any which way. And so to play so well and to get the 3-0 win, really helped settle any nerves, if there were any, within him and his squad, his squad of players and his staff.
I mean, pretty much everybody has said he's settled in so smoothly into the Premier League. I'm sure that's not a surprise to you, but do you already see some of those ideas that convinced you to bring him to the club? Do you already see them, his philosophy, his footballing philosophy, out there on the pitch?
Yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of his philosophy there, both in the pre-season and when I had many discussions with him in pre-season about what he's trying to do. And it's not a surprise that he's fitted in well into the Premier League, fitted in well into our environment here at Brighton and of Albion Football Club. But I am surprised about how quickly and how well he has settled. I mean, it is still a very big move. He's only been a head coach of a professional football team for 18 months in the second division in the Bundesliga. So to come from that, and he did obviously so well there, into the Premier League, the toughest league in the world, it has been a really exceptional progression. And I'm just really excited for him and for the team of what we can achieve, not just this season, but beyond as well.
It's been a lot of change, it's particularly in terms of personnel, which is credit to him, isn't it, to deal with players going out, a lot of players coming in. Just tell us a little bit about the summer in terms of the transfer window, because obviously a few eyebrows raised about the amount of money that the Albion, nearly £200 million spent. Tell us a bit about how you see that strategy, and was that something that you envisaged doing even before the window had started, to spend that amount of money?
Well, certainly at the start of the window, we knew there were going to be opportunities. We knew there was going to be quite a few incomings, quite a few changes. Probably didn't envisage quite as much. You never quite know how a transfer window will transpire. The players you want to bring in, are they going to be within budget? Are they going to be available? But I think the circumstances has allowed this, the PSR issues of other clubs is well known. Perhaps other bigger clubs on the continent haven't quite got the budgets to compete with some of the Premier League teams. So some of the players which perhaps wouldn't have been available to us in the past have become available. And the way our transfers have worked, in the last 2 or 3 windows, we may have lost some key players, haven't always been able to replace those ones straight away, and we've invested a lot in younger players. But this season, it just goes, sometimes these things goes in swings and roundabouts, and we've managed to bring in lots of first team players, and on top of that we've invested a lot in younger players. Some of them have gone out on loan. Other players like Buonanotte, who was here, did really well. With the players we've brought in, we didn't think he would have the opportunity so much this season. So he's got a great loan at Leicester. Semele Osman, who's a great talent, he's gone on to Feyenoord, where Minte was last season. He had a tremendous season. So, going forward, we probably won't see anything like that in the next 2 or 3 transfer windows, because if we do lose some key players in future windows, we will hopefully have players coming through, the younger players within the squad at the moment, or players that we've invested in the last couple of years coming through, or our academy players who have, again, some of them have gone out on loan, and we hope will come back in the next 1 or 2 seasons to really have a big chance of making our first team.
So there's a bit of future-proofing in there. How much of the profits over the last 2 seasons giving you that foundation? Because some people would say, well, they're spending all this money because they can, because they've made all these profits.
Yeah, obviously the last 2 seasons in particular, it's quite well known. We've sold a lot of players for big amounts. So when it comes to players in and players out, transfers in and transfers out, in terms of accounts, that's always just looked at in one season, particularly with the sales, because they go in to the profit and loss straight away. I look at it over a big period of time, and so over a period, in terms of the nets in and outs, it's very much in our favour. But this particular transfer window, this particular accounting period, there's obviously a lot more money going out than in.
We don't necessarily have a crystal ball though, but PSR is a big issue. You mentioned it there. The changes to it, do they impact on your thinking and strategy going forward? What might not just happen here, but might happen to other clubs?
Yeah, well, for us, we're always within the limits, and we will always be fine, so certainly while I'm chairman, but certainly we're aware of other clubs and other situations. We had a very odd situation, which I think is a one-off this particular year, whereby the 30th of June, which is the end of year for most clubs' accounts, that certain clubs had to sell, and obviously we were aware of that, and Minte, a player we'd followed for a while. We were certainly aware of him a year ago when he went to Newcastle. He had a fabulous season, and so we knew about that and that deadline, and we were able to get in there, get Yankuba Minte, a superb player, a young player. Hopefully he'll improve as well, but a really good level now, and we were able to do that sort of at the end of June, and that was because of the PSR issues that certain clubs had.
How do you feel about the potential changes to PSR and the way it's going forward? Do you think it's a better system, worse system, or do you think everything always could be a little bit better, I guess?
Everything can always be improved, and it's always good to sort of look at the systems. So hopefully over the next few months, the Premier League will vote on the new rules for next season. I think it makes sense. I think everyone's asking to have things more real time rather than having sanctions based on the previous season. And no one's a fan of points deductions as well. They can still happen, but with the real time nature of what the new rules will look like, I think the fans will understand things better, and I think it will be better for the Premier League as a whole.
Obviously, a lot of players have come in, but some players have gone. How difficult has that been for you? I'm thinking obviously Dennis Undav has left, but more so maybe Pascal Gross and Billy Gilmore, 2 different scenarios, but must have been quite difficult for the club to allow them to leave.
Yeah, all 3 great players. I mean, I must pay tribute obviously to Pascal Gross, who's been a stalwart of the football club for the last 7 years while we've been in the Premier League. A superb professional, superb player. Generally underrated, I think not so much now, never with our fans, but certainly within the public. But I was delighted he got called up by Germany at long last, and he was part of the Euros campaign. We had 7 brilliant years with him. He wanted to go back to Germany to play in the Bundesliga, to play for his hometown club. And so although we really didn't want to lose him, we certainly weren't going to stand in his way, and so Pascal will always be a legend here at the football club. Dennis had an amazing season at Stuttgart. We rated him really highly. We weren't wanting him to go. However, he did so well in Germany. He wanted to stay in Stuttgart for family reasons as well, and so we didn't see the best of him here. He certainly finished that season well. When he was here 2 seasons ago. But again, I think Dennis will do really well at Stuttgart, and we wish him all the best. And Billy's had a great 2 years, and we wish him well. In Italy, it's a great opportunity for him, and that's what happens at any football club. Really good players leave, and really good club players come in, and you need a certain amount of churn. And as a group, you're always looking to improve, and I think we've really done that this season with the business we've done. We think we've got a great chance of competing at the top end of the table. Our target, our long-term vision for the club, for the men's team of top 10 doesn't change, but certainly for this season, we think we've got a great chance of qualifying for Europe. We had an amazing time in Europe last season. We think we can do the same this season. And there's no doubt that with 7 of our competitors playing in Europe and a revamped Europe where there's more games, it certainly gives teams like Brighton a better chance of competing in the Premier League. We know how difficult it is to compete in the Premier League week after week after European matches.
Just on Billy, obviously, such a shame about the injury to Matt O'Reilly. Just wanted to say about Billy, was that made it a little bit more difficult because of that? A lot of people have been on to us, obviously, to say, oh, why have we let him go? We know that Matt's going to be out, but I guess Matt will return at some point.
Yes, Matt's had his operation, say it was successful. We don't know exactly when he'll return. And let's not forget, we've got other players. Jakobs obviously had a terrible time with injuries, but he's now back. Yastin did brilliantly against Arsenal. So we do have strength in midfield. So there's all these things to take into account. But there's no doubt after the horror challenge against Crawley for Matt, devastated for him. And we as a club did have a rethink of that, but we still thought, on balance, the Billy going to Napoli, that's what was agreed beforehand. We weren't going to stand in his way for that.
I mean, a lot's happened at the men's team. I'm just going to ask you about the women's side of the game. I mean, there's been massive change there. New head coach and a lot of new players as well.
Yeah, we've got 10 new players. Yeah, Dario's come in really, really well on the front foot. He's not got a huge amount of experience as a head coach, but we're really impressed with what he did in Australia. And again, very hopeful for the season ahead. Going back to our long-term vision, which we brought out in 2020 on the women's team, was to be top four. We haven't been that close to top four. Top four is really difficult in the WSL with all the teams strengthening all the time. And since we did that, Manchester United and Liverpool have come into the division. But I do think this year we've got by far and away our strongest squad of players. And I think we will give it a real go to be challenging for the top four this season.
Obviously, probably the most high-profile, Frank Kirby, a legend really in English football. Did that sort of send a statement and maybe just say, hang on, this is how serious we are about, I mean, there's a lot of other good players that have joined as well, but maybe just a statement to other people to say, we're in business this time, or we mean business this time?
We certainly do mean business. I accept the fact Fran is as a statement signing. I think she's going to be great for the group, in terms of her experiences. But there's lots of other really good players we've brought in. And so, we are, when we say, long-term vision of top four, we say what we mean, and it may still take quite a while to consistently get there. But that is our aim, that is our ambition. And I'm really looking forward to this season's campaign with the women's team.